What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and in this video I'd like to discuss the Bitcoin dominance. We're going to go over the Bitcoin dominance chart BTC.D and compare it to Ethereum to Bitcoin as well, that chart, to see if we can come up with anything that makes sense for what the dominance is going to do over the coming weeks and coming months. Ben Cohen, for those of you guys who know him, I mean, if you look up anything to do with Bitcoin dominance, you've probably found Ben Cohen, right? At some point, you have to know who Ben Cohen is because he is the Bitcoin dominance sensei. But he's calling for the dominance to continue to grow. I'm wondering if by the end of this video we can disprove that or find something that might suggest that the dominance is going to dip down. I am expecting Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin over the coming weeks and months, and the number 2 coin performing well versus Bitcoin does give the dominance a chance, at least, at coming down, right? Let's see if that happens. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe. Maybe by the end of this video, we'll all be on Ben Cohen's side, thinking that the dominance is going to rip and rally. We'll see. But we're going to try to poke holes in the logic using the charts, right? Strictly just the charts. BTC.D and ETH BTC. Although I don't know if we need to look at this chart, more so compare it, I think. Lay it over this one here. I want to type in ETH BTC here. For those of you that don't know how to do this, you can just click compare here. You type in ETH BTC. I always like to do new price scale. Depends though, you know how you want to do it. Doesn't matter. I put it in log. And so this is ETH to Bitcoin. So this is ETH's price in Bitcoin, the red line here. We're going to make it white, actually, because I think it stands out more, okay? And then this is the Bitcoin dominance. It's overlaid, all right? So we've got this going on here. I think you can see it's a pretty clear relationship that they have, right? When dominance is growing, typically Ethereum is losing value to Bitcoin. You can see that happening there. Oh, I shouldn't paint it white because I have my drawing, my brush is white. So we'll just make you orange. Maybe we will make you red. What color? That stands out. That's nice. I like that color. Okay. Yeah, whenever the dominance is going up, the Ethereum Bitcoin chart is coming down, right? Whenever the dominance tops or bottoms out right here, that's whenever the Ethereum Bitcoin chart tops out, right? You find your low down here. This is your high area here. And then whenever you dump, you pump. You see it happening. It's a direct correlation. They're literally, it's not 100% correlated, but they are pretty damn well inversely correlated. I mean, you can see it. You can literally see it right here. Hold on. Zoom out a little bit more. Just look at the directly inverse relationship they have here. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know, even if we put the correlation, I bet if we put the correlation coefficient on here, let's try that out. Isn't it? Oh, two R's, sorry. Correlation coefficient. We throw that on there. We compare it to ETH BTC. I bet it would be close to -1 for most of its life. Let's just see. Apply. This one here. Yeah, there's moments where they come together, but most of your life is spent at this area. -1 right here to 1. That's how this works. -1 means they're inverse of each other. 1 means they move the exact same. And you can see they don't typically move the exact same. In fact, most of the time they are inverse. You don't really see any kind of symmetry here ever. Very, very rarely. And you can see that in the charts with your eyes visibly here. We don't need all these indicators on there, but I want to look at the Bitcoin dominance. I want to do some TA on this chart now independently. Just wanted to show that relationship there because I think understanding that relationship will also allow us another tool to, or another chart to do analysis on, which is the ETH BTC chart. I suppose we could just flip this one over and it would basically be the same thing, right? But let's try both of these and see if we can come to the same conclusion, or I guess the inverse conclusion by the end of it, hopefully without a biased opinion on there. Looking at this here, I think from a low here to a high here, you know, we've been definitely very productive on the way down. I would think as long as we're below this golden ratio, as long as we're below about 59.5 cents, I would believe that the dominance does continue to drop. If we get above here, it could continue to drop, but I would think that we would go higher first, maybe to the 1272 and then down, or even higher still. And in which case that would definitely promote growth through October, and I don't think anybody wants to see that. We want this dominance to drop now. We want alt season to start now. We're looking at these indicators. The RSI does have higher highs, while the dominance has lower highs. It's hidden bearish divergence, which implies the idea that we go down, which is good if you want the dominance to drop, and I think we all do. The stochastics look bearish. That would make me think that we go lower. The MACD is bearish. We're actually at a point to reject here. That would make me think we go lower, and we don't need the correlation coefficient on there. We can delete that now. Just seeing where we are. I don't know if I want to draw that fib. That's fine. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame here, definitely in the weaker slots of your RSI. Okay, some people might think because you're in the oversold area, it's time to move up, but not always. That's not the case, right? When you were overbought here, was it time to move down? No, you kept moving up. You kept moving up, right? So we're at a point here where we could continue to the 40 or the 50 and then reject from there, depending on how high we go. We don't have to go too much higher. You can turn around here, but typically if we look at this, anytime we've come down to the oversold zone, you typically do revert back at least a little bit before coming back down. I mean, here, you found support, you went up to the 50. Here, you were oversold, you went up to the 50 before coming back down. To the 50, down. To the 40, at the very least to the 40, and then down. We're not even at the 40 yet, right? All these other times, that's what you've done. You've at least, I can't find a single instance where we hit the oversold area and we went anywhere less than the 40 before going lower. So that would imply then, in my opinion, growth in the dominance going into next week at least, if not the following week. The dominance in Bitcoin typically grows when altcoins and Bitcoin are moving down. Altcoins are just moving down more. Sometimes, and less commonly, but it does happen, Bitcoin dominance grows when Bitcoin's outperforming the markets, and that has happened plenty this cycle, so it could happen going into next week, although I think what's more likely to happen is Bitcoin just drops less than the average altcoin going into this next week, so it probably gains dominance through that. Once we see this RSI come up, I would expect then that we see the drop coming in, but looking at this, I suppose it would make sense to call for higher valuations in the dominance here. Stochastics are pointed up, and the weekly's bearish, but you're at a point where you could come up with all these indicators. So overall, you're still kind of in the doghouse. I would expect you have lower to go, but you definitely could see some growth over the next week or two, at the very least, if not more. So there's that on the Bitcoin dominance. Let's compare it to the ETH Bitcoin pair and see if we come up with similar results. So here, we're looking like we're going to go up. That would imply that on this chart, we would see coming down, right? If we get some conflictions, some weird stuff's happening here, you guys, okay? Maybe I'm not looking at it right. Let's see, daily time frame here. The RSI looks like it wants to go down. Yeah, that's a pretty bearish RSI. Stochastics are bearish overall. You kind of look bullish right here, but the RSI outweighs it, and the MACD is bearish as hell too. Yeah, that makes me think you're going lower. Very much so. And the RSI tipping the overbought zone, same kind of concept. You don't really get back into the overbought zone until you hit the 50 or lower. Maybe you go lower even. So, here you went down to the 50 before you actually went back through the overbought zone, right? Here you went down to the 40 or the 35 before you went to the overbought zone. Here below the 50 before you went to the overbought zone. Every time, that's typically what happens. So with that in mind, we do have a little bit lower to go here, at least a week or two, if not more's worth of downside. Stochastics getting out of the overbought zone would imply more decay as well, maybe to the 50, if not lower. And the MACD is fine, but you could come down and cross whatever touch here and then move up later. So I don't know. Ben Cohen, it looks like you might be right on this one, my friend. I think, and I say my friend, I don't know Ben Cohen. I respect him. I think that he might be right. I don't know what his call is exactly, but I'm pretty sure I did hear him say he thinks that the dominance is going to grow into the end of October, and maybe even through that. I don't know, but I would agree. I would think that it looks like the dominance wants to go through the end of October, which is kind of sad because while that might mean that October is bullish for Bitcoin and maybe some select altcoins, October is not the month that we're looking for as far as alt season goes. Perhaps November or December. So that could postpone things for a little while longer. On a good note to that, a little silver lining there, we have more time to accumulate. More time to accumulate is a blessing in disguise, especially with this massive, long overdue alt season that we're all waiting for. I think that if anything, though, looking at this chart, it does determine, at least for me, that we got to see at least some disparity here in the next 2 weeks. We need to see the dominance increase a good bit, and the ETH BTC pair needs to drop a good bit in the next 2 weeks if we want any hope of this alt season starting in October. Because the indicators, I think, need to come down. They need to cool off a little bit both ways there. So I don't really have anything else that I want to say. I hope you guys took something away from this. I very much do believe, and if anybody was wondering this throughout the whole cycle or throughout this whole video, I very much do believe that we will see lower valuations in the dominance. I don't believe that we see a lower low. It's possible. It is possible, but I doubt it. I would think that we see a higher low, something that's close to these lows, but something that's higher nonetheless, and something, of course, that is dramatically lower than where we are now. I do believe that this will happen when we have our alt season. We'll probably get a massive drop-off like this or like this. It's likely to be more tame even, But I would think we get that going into the end of the year and going into the second quarter of 2026. But just first, between now and the end of October at least, it's very possible, if not at least the halfway point to October, it's very possible that the dominance continues to grow, ETH BTC continues to decay, so altcoins are put on hold. Not all of them, but some of them. If we are, and I'm going to look you guys in the eyes right here, if we are at the forefront of alt season, what we should see after things level out, after this next week or so, whenever the price for Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins are done moving lower, probably sometime after October 1st, when the dominance continues to grow, because Bitcoin's moving up, but altcoins aren't moving up as fast, when the dominance continues to grow there, if alt season is around the corner, we should see a select few altcoins popping off. Typically, before alt season starts, there's like the chosen few that remain relevant throughout the whole cycle that will start to pop off in that time. So I do expect some coins to do well in October. Just it's not going to be full-blown alt season. We should have the front runners kind of doing their thing. Mark my words, that should be happening though. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care of yourselves. All right, bye.